they were not like clean cut and professional looking like generally FedEx delivery people are, who looking for people to trust to open the door to them. So that, I can only imagine, exactly what all they were hoping to accomplish, or they've tricked me into opening the door. But that was very disturbing, and I've not been able to get help, about people continually, trying to make a grab and, being obviously assigned to harm me and what have you, as of yet. But let's see. That was when I spoke with the customer service representative, Julie Pavlik, was 1:15 to 1:25 p.m. in Eastern Time on January 24th, 2008. And she said she'd make a log of what happened, too. And let me see here. Hopefully, I think this one might be easier to hear. This one is the file called Nostalgic Interaction with Dr. L. This is not when this recording was done, it's actually at that point, sometimes years had passed since the event that I was asking her to tell about or confirm. It was an event where a pair of men who either really were NYPD officers or misrepresented themselves as NYPD officers pulled us over and immediately started setting up to frame us. And again, luckily it didn't go further, but it's if it had gone further, like I felt they were setting up for sexual assaults and and framing, to discredit and everything, and even in like already planning that as well as planning the sexual assaults. And now that this pattern has emerged, I believe it was part of the organized predatory pattern. It wasn't just like bad luck or something like that. And I'm very sad to say I think that the person believed to be my mother, who was driving and basically sped us away, I think, and they did not follow us. So I think that that is suspicious. Like, at first I thought she was working for the CDC at the time. I believe there's since been they're called the CDCP, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And she had her badge around her neck. And when they saw her badge, that she was a federal employee, they looked at each other and hesitated. And that's when she sped off. And they never tried to follow us. But I don't know if she really, was surprised that even any of that had happened, or, if she was like kind of like a pretend co-victim. Apparently is something that's done a lot to people being targeted, and including by people who had been previously successfully targeted. Because I have a lot of sympathy for this person, whether she's really my mother or not. I know that she's been targeted from a very young age. Maybe even really set up from before she was born, because again, her grandfather was apparently involved with arrangements for Jonestown. So, but let me see.
We spoke.
Go ahead.
We just want to interject one thing. Mm-hmm. We spoke briefly in the first part of this series about specific predatory targeting and rape. So few rapes are actually indicted or investigated, and there's a lot. I don't suspect. There's actually a lot of information available online about how rape is used to inflict traumas that would result in specific, behaviors, like isolation and so forth. Are you aware of that program?
I'm not aware of like a name of a program, but it's been a primary concern to me of trying to raise awareness that so many of these assaults.
Okay, you're cutting out again.
Uh-oh.
Okay,
how about
back.
here?
You're back.
Okay, so many of these assaults, including sexual assaults, including against people from as young as they can get a hold of, and unfortunately, there's no end to it too if they're not made to stop. Like I know, especially when women are attractive and single, I know more than one woman in their 70s that these people are still in an organized way, they still keep setting them up for this, to come to their home and, like trigger certain programming so that, like they're hoping to get them like an alternate personality to cooperate with opening the door, with letting them have their way with them sexually, etc., and then forgetting about it afterwards or not being clear on what happened. I'm sure they probably use, drugs to facilitate as well, and other things, including the neurologically disruptive sound frequencies. So it's very, very disturbing. And
wow.
But yeah. So let's see. Go ahead.
Go ahead. You know what? We're starting to cut out. And Sahar?
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. We're starting to cut out a little bit, and I'm running low on juice here. So I have to wrap it up soon. But go ahead and share with everyone, I guess, the remaining part, and then...
Okay. Let's see. Oh, I do want to mention, I remember there's a place that you had told me about, you were still hoping to find, and I'm look for it too, that you felt, you remember it as having been on a government agency site, which sometimes they do that. Sometimes it's inadvertent, I may think maybe, or sometimes somebody, wants the information out and somebody else comes along and snipes it out or something. I've seen that back and forth.
Well, yeah,
like things that get put up on the CIA and the FBI websites about these mind control programs, and then sometimes they appear, sometimes they disappear, and back and forth. So I think you had seen it, if I remember right, you mentioned to me on one of those sites, mm-hmm. and it seems to have disappeared. But I will tell you, I checked recently, there's a Dr. Lawrence Wilson. On his website, he has a section with several subsections dedicated to that so many, he believes that the vast majority, I think he put over 90% of rapes are deliberate and assigned and pre-planned for to be certain methods and for certain results, and to do with this this shadow government. Basically, I think he uses different terms for them, but these covert networks, their quest for control over people.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I'll see if I can. I'm going to put this on speaker, and if I could figure out exactly where, I think non-speaker would be better. But because I don't know where, I'm going to try speaker, and hopefully we can hear this. A car was apparently in New York City, where the creepy guys that may or may not have really been cops, that were probably not cops, I don't know, but they were not legitimately in their cop capacity if they were cops. Sorry, are you able to hear so far?
Yeah, I definitely heard they're maybe they were cops, maybe they weren't cops.
Okay, I'm gonna keep playing. And I, at that time, was drugged, and I did not know it at the time, but it's very obvious to me with, listening back to then. That's not my normal speaking voice. I was being drugged. That was recorded in 2014. Actually, that was during another multiple of 6 flare-up, and it was also to do with evidence I was working on that they did not want me working on. I was getting together my paper to of my written testimony to the United States Senate Judiciary Committee about the connected epidemic of sexual assaults on campus for their December 2014 deadline. So this was recorded June 1st, 2014, but I'll keep playing. I think my mom's voice might be a bit harder to hear, but this was a recording. This was an overt recording where she gave me permission, so I think that's why I think it's going to be easier to hear, because she was talking for people to be able to hear. So let's try it. Okay, here's my character. Right. Staying up the character. Right. So this is where I already written about it. I posted, let me ask you about back then. I don't know the month right now, but it was 2012. And I'm about to read from what I wrote, posted in 2012. I just wanted to check that you're still fine with that. Okay, so I'm fine. I'm sure I'm fine. Oh, thank you, Mom, but I'll just read it real quick, okay, and then I'll call in. Okay, a car with a pair of men pulled over my mom and me. She was driving and was in conference CDCP, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention representatives. My mom is less inclined to think about and discuss such events, but recently she decided that she's willing for me to share with the public what happened. I don't remember right now if the car was marked as an NYPD car, but I don't think it was. The there was a red flashing siren. Oh, it was red up for when I went, but then there was a red flashing siren that the men used, but it made no sound. Okay, hold on, one more paragraph. You're okay with that one, right? Okay. Okay. We believe they were either not real police officers or were not acting in an official capacity. They pointed to a nearby gas station and accused us of dropping off a man at the station. They said he's a known criminal. We had no idea what they were talking about, but they gave us the creeps. When they saw my mom's CDCP badge, they looked at each other and hesitated. My mom sped away and they did not try to follow. That's all it has to do with you. The rest is a supernatural or pseudo-supernatural experience that I had following that to comfort me. So are you fine with those? I'm fine with that. Okay, but I had a bodyguard at that time. I do remember, but he wasn't with us. Are you still able to hear?
Bits and pieces of it.
Oh, okay. I tried flipping the phone the opposite way around because I thought that might be better. I'm going to put it back the way I originally had it and play the rest. It's almost to the end of that. It wasn't for that event because I was enjoying the rest of the Nitro Fuse after the work day. So basically I asked him about it. And absolutely, that's not legitimate. And that manager works for him on TV. Did you hear that when she said he had been assigned a bodyguard for, when she was visiting New York City on work to do with the CDC, CDCP now is what they're called. And she'd been assigned a bodyguard who was somebody who was, in fact, an NYPD officer during his, I'm not sure if he was, officially, on police time or not police time, but that's what they did. They assigned somebody that he was actively a police officer, but I think he was not on active police duty when he was doing the bodyguard duty. And she told him about what happened with the pair of men that pulled us over, and he said that he checked that those were not, at least it was not anything official to do with NYPD.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. So, if people want to hear that on their own, with a headset and get a clearer audio, they can go to your YouTube channel.
Yes. Let me say two things. Let's see. It's called Nostalgic Interaction with Dr. L. And where that part started is from 9 minutes and 42 seconds in. The part I was hoping people could hear today. But you know what? I hate to leave the audience with a file that they couldn't hear that well. This one, I'm pretty sure, is relatively easy to hear, and it's short. It's just not more than about 30 seconds. It's from Dr. L admits feeling coerced by third party to press false allegations. So I think that's very relevant as well to this whole matter of the, that I started to very reluctantly, but I realized that there's a lot of corruption in the mix. And so that's why I had to take a step back and communicate with the public more first before trying to go back to try to get help from people whose job it is to help, in case there's somebody who wants to follow a script to try to just disappear me again. When I say again, I've not been disappeared that way, but to try again to disappear me that way. So let me see if hopefully we can hear this. I transcribed this part. Let's see. So I asked her, did they say who they are, who are threatening to press charges if you didn't file for guardianship? And that's what I referred to in one of the first two parts of the set of our broadcast, coming to talk on this matter. When she filed illegitimately for guardianship, there was so many illegalities about it, and it was dropped within a couple of weeks. Once they realized that I knew about it, and that I'd asked a former law professor and attorney to please help me with it, that they didn't want it to even go that far. So all of a sudden they're like, oh, we don't see the need for it anymore. We dropped it. Don't worry about it, So, but I am very upset about it because, it was never, it shouldn't have proceeded legitimately, had no legitimate grounds to proceed in the first place. And I feel it's tarnishing of my record unfairly because I found out that criminal charges, which thank God, I've never had any because these people have tried to set me up as a, whether as both through criminal channels and through mental health channels. But if they started more focusing on the mental health. So apparently a reason for that if they, and to date they don't have either, so let me knock on wood and thank God for that. But I'm very upset and I'm very concerned, because if they had, I think a reason they changed over to focusing on the mental health, in addition to my mom's ability to facilitate them, because she's a government contracted neuropsychiatrist, and then they have these psychological operations group participants who work through mental health facilities. But she, if you have a criminal record, it's becoming known as a tactic of human traffickers. And so several